It's cold.
3.
It's cold.
Well, this is what I do.
I wondered. I had no idea what you do for a living.
Oh, don't check the site today. There's a fucking ET porn on there.
Okay.
You know what? Check it next week. There'll be something more wholesome.
It was my understanding when this thing started that if it was negative weather or balls cold outside, we would not use the car as a
Yeah, but I was going by Celsius.
Really?
I don't even know if that makes
Celsius
sense.
is even lower.
I didn't pay attention in that class.
So instead of -20, it's gonna be like negative, way lower than that. I'm not even gonna try and say the number.
So
Still
negative
correct
to where
me.
it's in the positive. See, there you go.
And anybody that
It's
corrects
fine.
me in the comments, you
I'm
looked
dressed
it
in
up.
layers right now. I am perfectly good.
Don't blame me for any of this.
I always have.
This is my mom, who you might recognize
Lemon drink.
from
Lemon drink.
Mrs. Jones when Brad and Jared watched The Room.
Yep.
And there was a Brad Tries, right? Where we did the... Was it the one where we did the meat parfait?
Meat parfait.
And
We
the
did meat
turkey
parfait.
balls?
Oh, the fair.
And
Yeah, the state fair.
How could you not remember your turkey balls at the fair?
Well, I just didn't remember if it was that particular
that
video.
fried peanut butter sandwich and the
I remember
the
that.
chocolate covered
Twinkie with
Hot dog.
I can actually hear you
with the
spatter.
so we all had one bite. That's
I didn't. I was like, I took the fried breading off the ball, and then you could actually see the testicle, and it was just like,
gnarly!
Oh, no.
So this is your first time seeing Fast
Yes.
Times at Ridgemont High.
Don't
It's
give
like
me
my
shit.
100th.
It just wasn't available to me as a youngster.
Oh, it was to me.
Well, yeah, it's available to you at like age 4.
That's way too young. I watched it when I was 5.
Oh, okay.
He was too young for me to take him to the. So you were like 5 months
I don't
old.
mean-
No, you-
When Fast Times
Yeah.
came out. Yeah, August 13th, 1982. Did you see it in
Oh,
the
my
theater?
sister's birthday is August 13th.
Oh, really?
I'm 82. She's 83.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, we did. We did. Seeing it today reminded me because I couldn't remember us specifically seeing it in the theater if we'd rented it, but
That's good.
Just getting, no.
Oh.
You were just getting cut off by the camera.
there was a lot that I forgot, like little things in the background, like when they were at the mall and seeing the pictures of Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand.
Oh, yeah.
And Damone had a lamp in his room that was made out of a fire hydrant.
I didn't.
Not a fire hydrant. Yeah.
What I didn't.
fire
Maybe I had noticed it before, but all of Mike Damone's booze that I kept seeing
Yeah,
pop up in the
that I
background, like
remember.
bottle of Hennessy in his locker, and even when he was on the phone when he was in his room, there's like fucking open bar in the back.
I know he was probably 17. You know, and had all
Stacy,
this
this
alcohol.
is really good iced tea.
No, they weren't
He hadn't even
actually
drank yet.
teenagers.
In the movie, the characters.
The
are-
characters
Well, no,
were.
you said he was like 17.
No,
thought
I
you
meant
the
his,
actor.
no, I meant his character.
Okay, that's what I really like too, and it's funny because this movie you can play the game of spot Nicolas Cage because he doesn't
Nicolas
say
Coppola,
anything. Oh,
excuse
sorry,
me.
Nicolas
Yeah.
Coppola.
Nick Coppola.
He doesn't say anything, and then apparently in a TV edit he does have a line that
Yeah,
was cut.
there's a scene in the TV. When you see this movie on TV, since there's some different stuff that they had to cut out in other parts in terms of nudity and stuff like that.
There was nudity?
Yeah, there is.
TBK's hot.
There was some scenes that are added in the TV edit, and in one or two of those scenes, there's more Nicolas Cage scenes.
More the Cage.
When you look at it now, you look at the people who've become such big stars.
And how
You know.
Forrest Whitaker looks exactly
the
the same.
He doesn't look 10 minutes older.
The
older.
opening
Yeah.
of the movie, I was like, oh, this makes me sad that I'm not living in the 80s.
And you kind of
all of that.
You kind of wonder what Sean's political thinking was at that time. You know, going back 30 plus years, and now he's this giant star, Academy Award winner, and big time liberal. You know,
I've heard that he doesn't like. And I don't know if this is just always something I've heard. I could be very much. This could be wrong.
talk about
but
that, he says.
I have heard that he doesn't like it too much when people come up to him on the streets and talk about Jeff Spicoli.
Well, you have
bang
to
a shoe
understand,
against
too,
their head.
I'm so wasted.
I'm sure every actor has that one role, and they don't like it mentioned because that's the most popular thing they're known for. So every fucking person they see at a convention, you could tell too, like when we go to conventions, the celebrities while we're in line and every single person be like, oh man, from the same thing. And so we make it a point to go up and actually mention the other stuff we like that they're in, and they're just like, thank you.
Kevin Bacon in Animal House.
Kevin Bacon in it.
Planes,
Kevin
Trains,
Bacon
and
in Friday the
Automobiles.
13th.
Trains, Planes, and Automobiles stole Steve Martin's taxi.
Even other people popping up in this too. Anthony Edwards,
Yes.
Eric Stoltz, just different
He didn't really
background
pop up.
people.
He was just he was
Who,
kind of
Eric Stoltz?
He wasn't really background. He was just
Yeah, he was one of like to
Right.
Jeff Spicoli. He was like to Jeff Spicoli
Right.
what like Nick Cage was to Brad, but just with more lines.
And the huge story with Vargas's wife.
Oh, Lana Clarkson.
Yeah.
Well, now I get
Yeah.
the Family Guy episode with Mr. Vargas. I think that was maybe inspired because he brings in the
Maybe.
cadaver.
Oh, yeah.
And
Are
he
you
just-
in my class?
Yeah, as soon as
I
they
am
said
today.
Mr. Vargas.
So you liked it?
I did, and it's movie magic. I liked because you kind of forget sometimes that they're playing teenagers because you know them by now, and then they do little things that teenagers would do, like playing with string at the table, and then they have these moments where they really act like kids.
Like when Rat and Stacy are sitting on the bed, and it cuts to the shot where they're both very awkward, and it cuts to the shot where their feet are kind of like they're playing with their own toes. And
Yeah.
stuff. You're right. Little
do.
things like that, and not to mention the fact that some of them do genuinely look like teenagers in this movie. Jennifer
Yeah,
Jason Leigh,
she
though
does.
she was like maybe 20 when she did this, she does look like she's like 15. And it's like in the 80s when you could do just full frontal nudity of a 15-year-old character.
And Judge Reynolds.
Yeah.
Judge Reynolds is another one that doesn't age.
Have you seen what he looks like now?
Really?
There's parts of his face that haven't aged.
Oh, that makes me sad.
He's
Because
had
from
some work done.
that through the Beverly Hills Cop movies, he just always looked the same.
Don't forget vice versa.
Vice versa, hell yeah. Don't forget Sandaly.
I always call it
reunion
vice
of-
versa ever since I was little, so I will always call it vice versa.
It was always hilarious because, like, I first saw.
Did we even say what we saw at the beginning?
It'll say above the video.
In case we didn't say
We
it,
saw Ferris Bueller.
I know, right?
Oh, we went to go see Risky Business again. Hell yeah.
That's
I
another
was
one just-
probably because you're the one who recommended this to me, and what was I probably like maybe 10 when I first saw this movie?
Were you that old?
Right. I remember that this is a tangent, but this has always made me laugh when I kind of joke about it, because I know I make jokes about that I saw kind of adult stuff at a young age. It's true. I'm not over exaggerating. I really did. I remember being 5 years
father's
old. I remember being 5 years old and watching Revenge of the Nerds, and that scene in Revenge of the Nerds
the
where
rape
they're
scene
all
that's unrecognized.
when they're sitting around and watching the pies on the security, and it cuts to that shot of Poindexter who just ejaculates in his pants,
Just
and I
sitting
remember
still.
being I remember being 5 years old and being like, "What just happened?"
Oh, my God.
And you said to me, "You go, oh, he just peed his pants." So until I knew what sex was, I was just under the impression that for no reason whatsoever, Arnold Poindexter just pissed himself while watching the pie.
That was a good, quick answer on my part.
After I believe, I mean, what was I gonna say? Like, that's not true.
Oh, Jesus, the wind.
I think
Oh,
I
my God.
came.
ATM. I love it. Now we're going into
I'll tell you in a
oldie
few
stuff.
Stacy, you're a very good kisser.
I love that. Well, this is still Revenge of the Nerds, though. The card game, it was completely ad lib when he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you got
too many
these?"
kings.
Yeah.
I'll give you 4 fresh cards.
But yeah, I
What the
love
fuck
them
is a
lot.
fresh? I was probably like 10 when I saw this, because
I was 31.
I was big into Judge Reinhold because I loved Vice Versa. I would watch that a lot when I was a kid, and other actors who were in this too. And I do remember you being like, "Oh, you need to see Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's got everybody in it." And you had it on tape from like HBO or Cinemax, one of the two. I kept that tape forever. The only it was kind of funny, like you would Fast Times, it's kind of joked about, like you would go to the video store and no matter what copy of Fast Times at Ridgemont High you would rent, when it got to the Phoebe Cates scene.
When we fucked up,
It would be
people
kind of
were rewinding
staticky
it.
a little bit.
Now we have the magic of DVD and Blu-ray, so we don't have that problem.
It's timeless though, that movie. Like so many
Yeah.
80s
Well,
movies.
it's timeless, but it's also very much set in the time it was made. So it's
The themes are timeless.
Yes,
Yeah.
no. I know that. Like Freaks and Geeks, it kind of feels like, and obviously I know this came first.
Both set in 82.
No, Freaks and Geeks
is
was
it 80 or 81?
Like it was just coming out of the 70s,
Oh, okay.
I thought.
Okay.
But either way, it was a feel, and that's what I thought Stacy was going to be. Was kind of her character,
Oh.
and she was like that until she had sex with the fucking 29-year-old or
Ron.
whatever.
26-year-old.
26-year-old.
Ron
Johnson.
15.
Ron
Yes.
Johnson.
Ron has to
porn
call me
never.
back.
Yeah, I was like, okay. But so it's like she's kind of shy, and even her first time is awkward. And then after that, she's like Slutsville. She's just like
What?
trying to get at anybody.
Like,
Yeah, she only
she sleeps with
one
Mike
other guy.
Damone, and who the fuck wouldn't sleep with Mike? I would sleep with Mike Damone. The guy's
Aw.
fucking charming as hell.
It reminds me of Dave.
He looks so much
sometimes.
older though than the rest of the kids.
He does.
Didn't you think?
Mike
He does.
Robert
He
Romanus
looks like he's 25.
He is by far if outside of Jeff Spicoli, Damone is like my favorite fucking character in this movie. Like, and honestly, he gives one of my favorite performances in it too. Like fucking Christ, like the guy is just charming. The guy's just. It makes sense he's playing a scalper in this movie. It makes sense that
Wait,
somebody like Stacy.
He's not a scalper. Did you say scalper?
Scalper.
He's a
Did you
legitimate
call me a
businessman.
scalper?
He's a legitimate
I'm a
businessman.
legitimate
Right.
businessman.
Providing a service. But because
Bought $40 worth of fucking film. You don't
Yeah,
even have a camera.
Because the fact that he does look significantly older than the rest of the cast. Like, I mean, not bad. You don't look at him and be like, oh, it's an old guy. It was when he went into those kind of teenage mannerisms that it was just like, oh, yeah, they're teenagers. I'm like, good on you for acting like a fucking kid. Just like fucking with shit at the table and...
Yeah, when he was fiddling with, like, when he
like
was in
making
Stacy's.
string, like making little things and just kind of, mannerisms. Whereas you could look at it as something as, like you look at the group movies like Mallrats and things like that, where they are, coming out of school, but they're very adult-like in pretty much everything they do. So I do like that in this they kept those kind of childlike wonder, young adult.
Along with Phoebe Cates' character, who's so full of shit when you actually listen to what she's saying.
This is the first time I've seen Phoebe Cates in a non-mousy role.
Oh, in like a more...
Like where she's just
adult
very
role?
outgoing. No, like non-mousy. Like I've seen her in the Gremlins movies and Drop Dead Fred, and I think that's it. So this she was very extroverted and just kind of,
the
full of
carrots
herself.
and
She knew what she was doing.
That soundtrack is still good.
oh, yeah. The
Just like every
Go-Go's
80s
and
movie that you can, watch again.
Rat played just Led Zeppelin in the car.
That's the thing that
Played
makes
side one, Led Zeppelin.
that makes me feel old too. The scalped tickets for Led Zeppelin are $20 fucking dollars. I'm just like, oh fuck, I'm old.
It's just one of those movies that just reminds you that
Back in my day.
high school is simultaneously the best and worst
Time
time
of your
because this
life.
movie does hit. It does hit on good memories. It does hit on funny things that happen, whether you're hanging out with your friends.
What
or
high school
drinking
did
and
you
getting
go
high.
to?
I went to a public school, so trust me, we
So
were
did
getting
I.
fucked up.
I was just, yeah. I hated
You
high
went to a
school.
private school.
I meant private. Sorry, I went to a private school. So
That's
yeah,
weird
we were
because I
getting
went to
fucked
private
up.
school up to 8th grade, and then I went to public high school.
No, yeah, but I mean, it hits on like
Suck it,
how-
people who made fun of me.
It hits on like fun shit like that, but also awkwardness of dating, of having sex, of falling in love, of
Sneaking into a
Your high
Planned
school
Parenthood
year
type place.
sounded awesome because mine sucked.
I'm not saying my high school career was bad. It wasn't. I didn't have that bad of a time in high school. What I'm saying is that this, no matter who you are, no matter if you're popular or not, awkward shit is gonna happen.
Oh,
And
you're talking about all the good times. I'm just like, oh, those would have been nice. My suck
The
is
same-
to the people that made fun of me in high school
And
and grade school, not to the fans that make fun of me, because that's going to happen.
Some things have changed with kids, like they're not writing down telephone numbers. They're not running to a payphone to
No,
call.
no,
to
it's
call
let me
a buddy,
text you.
Yeah.
But the things that kids go through, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Except earlier, you
relationships
get
and
pregnant
school
at like
and
11.
all that kind of thing. But communication is, here, let me call your phone and then you'll have my number.
Yeah, let's tap our phones together.
Back in my day, we had the MySpace, and
The
that's
second
all we
thing I
had.
need is a pen so I could write down your phone number.
It was fun seeing the arcade games.
That's
Oh,
why I was like, I want to live in the 80s.
Oh man, I need
Just
to go
the-
back to
just the
Magfest
sound.
again.
Well, and then like people being
Just
like
walking through
shirtless.
shirtless,
Oh, God.
cigarettes, smoking,
He's like, "Smoking's
outside
upstairs."
There's a dude smoking in the classroom in Mr. Hand's class when he just walked. Mr. Hand
I
is
don't
Jeff
think he
broke
broke
it in
it.
half
It was
and then
just in his
snipped it.
mouth.
It wasn't. It was just in his mouth,
Yeah.
but still,
It was
like,
the idea that he had it.
just that whole relationship between Mr. Hand and Jeff Spicoli, because it's really funny. Because at the same time, it's like Mr. Hand is like just an extreme hard ass, like a couple of teachers that I
heart.
had, but when you really break it down, I mean, he's not a bad teacher. Like,
I would
had
this too if I was teaching and somebody ordered a fucking pizza in the middle of my class.
I had a high school history teacher like that, Mr. Meyer back at Quincy High, for if there's any Quincy High people out there. He was a brilliant man, not unlike Mr. Hand.
Yeah.
You know, hard ass. Delivery was terrible, but he knew so much about history. And I think he actually cared like Mr. Hand did. Mr. Hand really did care about Jeff Spicoli.
Yeah.
He came
And
over.
he learned.
And he learned, you know.
I think you'll squeak by, but that's real quick. That's what I like too, because like, yeah, Mr. Hand does the shit, like he gives away Spicoli's pizza, he rips up his card,
would have given
he does
him
he
that.
does stuff like that. But a teacher who wouldn't care, wouldn't give a shit
Just
about
like,
Jeff
get out of my
Spicoli.
class.
He obviously gives a shit. He goes to his house. He does. There's no teacher in the world who would do that.
Would show up. That's like a
I-
doctor making a house call.
I
It
don't-
just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't get what was with the card at the beginning when he like tears up the card and then he's like,
You
dick.
dick,
Yeah. What?
dude! You're ripping my card.
What was that card?
It was
had-
his schedule.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
his. It was his class schedule.
Yeah.
You never got those?
Yeah, they were like big and white, but I didn't understand why that. Was it just basically like, get the fuck out of my class and I'm gonna destroy your card? Or was he telling him to like quit school?
No, he
I
wasn't
think
telling
no.
him to quit
Well,
school.
I don't know
was-
because
he was just being a
like,
hard
"Did you see
ass.
that?"
Yes, he
And then
was.
he's like, tear it up, and then I missed
He just
what he
wanted
said.
him.
He
He
was
just
like,
wanted him to leave.
Yeah, he just wanted him to get the fuck out.
well, I missed what he said because he was like, I'm sure you can find your way something, and then that's when he goes, dick.
He
and I thought-
said, "I'm sure you could find your way to the principal's office." or
Oh, okay,
something
I
like
thought he
that.
was saying like out, like leave the fucking school because you're useless type thing.
No.
But that happens in movies where it's like this person is hopeless, just leave.
Jeff was awesome at the end, though, when he was talking about why we left England.
Yeah, see,
So
he
Thomas
learned.
Jefferson was like, "This is bogus. We need to create our own set of rules."
Otherwise, we'll be bogus, too.
That's pretty
Keanu
much it, Spicoli. Well, that's what he sounds
Yeah,
like.
it's exactly what he sounds like.
Smartest stoner ever though, because when they trash the car, they
Man,
go,
Spicoli, that
Oh
light
my
was
God.
red.
I can fix it. My
I
dad.
can fix it.
my
My
dad
dad's a
repairs
television
TVs.
repairman. I
It's
can
got
fix it.
awesome
And
set
so
of
they
tools.
graffiti the car, and I don't know why I'm talking like people haven't seen the movie. I'm sure I'm like the only one affiliated with the site.
I don't know.
My brother's gonna kill us.
Yeah, and so
He's gonna shit, and he's gonna kill us.
there's a football game coming on, so they take the car to the school grounds, and you don't see any of this until the reveal. So they ended up taking the car to the school grounds, and then they're like, kill Ridgemont. Ridgemont sucks. Lincoln rules. And so the
Assassinate
quarterback.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Assassinate Lincoln. Oh my God.
I had to.
2 years
I had to
after
lean
the,
over
oh
and
my God.
Well, 'cause
2
I
years
asked-
after the Lincoln movie comes out, Assassinate Lincoln.
assassinate Lincoln.
Buttons. The kids
prior.
had buttons.
Well, I didn't know the competing school was Lincoln, so they're having all these.
She's sitting there like,
buttons
why
that
the
are
fuck did they say
kill
kill
Lincoln, assassinate Lincoln? He's like, that's the competing school. It's like, oh, that's actually
Lincoln
really
wasn't
clever.
a very popular president in the early '80s.
Yeah, and
hat was
the
too
song.
big.
What was the song? The best time of our lives on the football scene when
Oh yeah.
when Jefferson is tearing him up.
just growling and
insane.
sweating.
Oh, yeah.
That other guy looking who's just horrified. There's one guy who's like having a seizure on the
right on
field.
the
Just
football
right
field.
on the field.
We need to connect it, and the reason he was all psychotic is because it was his car.
No,
So
yeah.
he thought, well, I'm explaining in case
to the
someone
people who have
hasn't seen it.
seen it.
I mean, it was not unlike Michael Orr in The Blind Side when all of a sudden he just was
Yeah.
beating everybody up and folks were getting carried off the field, except this was much more comical.
This is hilarious.
This is hilarious.
I like how he had like magical weed driving powers until the end, where it's just like shoot, relax,
Thank God
man.
for my fast reflexes.
Just it was like fucking watching a game of like GTA or something, of just going in
Yeah.
between two lanes and just
People on lewd should not drive.
This is the second movie I've seen in a month that talks about lewds.
There's not a person from the 80s and knows anything about the 80s that at some point in time hasn't done a Jeff Spicoli voice.
Oh yeah.
I've done it in the office.
Did you? So you and my dad went to go see this in '82.
Yeah, probably Bobby.
Well, knowing my dad, he probably doesn't like, because my dad has no memory
that
of
was
seeing.
something I just saw.
No. My dad likes this movie
okay.
a lot. In fact, I think he was the one who originally taped it. The tape that I had, because most of the tapes my dad would he tape just random stuff on there and just write on the labels and stuff. I think he still does. Anyway. You have a much better memory of the stuff that you guys saw in the theater at the time. Like, my dad doesn't even remember seeing Vice Squad.
And we would see things over and over and over again.
Until
Like
tickets
Smokey and the
became
Bandit.
like $12.
Yeah. We saw that one. We saw that 13 times.
Oh, that he would remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously, like, since this is a movie that he likes a lot, I'm sure he probably remembers seeing this movie in the theater. 3 days after your birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Who was my
but it was
babysitter?
Huh?
Who was my babysitter?
Who was your babysitter? Probably your Aunt Vicky or my mom or grandma. One of your grandmas.
Vicky didn't want to go see Fast Times.
She just pulled somebody off the street. I gotta make a movie. The sitter canceled.
Gotta go
Somebody
see
watch
Fast
my
Times at
kid.
Ridgemont. It's got Nicolas Cage in it.
I would have taken you, honey. I would have taken you.
Well, didn't you guys take me to vacation?
You went to vacation. I don't know if we both took you or if I just did, but you went. And you would have been pretty little.
Vacation was the same year as this movie, so I don't have a memory of that. But I don't know what the earliest memory is I have of seeing something in the theater. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. But
Mine was
Well, I
the
remember the first-
Rescuers. That's how wholesome my family is.
I remember the first time I ever took you to a film, but I can't remember what it was. You didn't want to sit down next to me. It was just you and me. And you didn't want to sit next to me
Even then,
in the seat, but you wanted to stand in the aisle right next to me.
Just in case the movie
hanging on,
sucks.
I know, hanging on to the side of the seat. The arm, looking sideways and watching the movie like that. I'm like,
he knew of his future.
He was behaving, so I just let him
it was
stand
fine.
there. It was fine.
Yeah, unless it's packed and it's like, move the fucking kid.
Move your fucking kid.
No, that never happened. He was always good.
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't remember. Dude, like I wouldn't have. I would have been like the one kid who was in the Oogie Loves theater who was seated down. Well, hell, I wouldn't have been at that fucking movie in the first place if I was that.
No, you wait till you're an adult to watch.
Yeah. Instead, I wait till I'm 30 and then I go fucking see Oogie Loves. That's better. When was the last time you saw this?
Probably in recent years, just channel surfing and it being on.
Yeah,
You know, but it's one of those movies like almost any movie from the 80s. And some of them are just awful movies, but guilty pleasures that if I'm surfing and I see it, no matter what I'm doing, I'll stop and I'll put it on.
Yeah, it's
know,
one of those
it
movies
is.
where you can pick up
Any
that's-
place.
Yeah,
Any
place,
place.
like
And-
halfway through.
And enjoy the rest of the movie.
Same with Nerds. Same with
classic
Vacation.
Friends,
Oh, yeah.
shenanigans, sexual deviancy.
Oh, yeah, same with Caddyshack.
Oh god,
You know,
yeah.
good grief.
Ghostbusters.
No. Oh, yeah. Ghostbusters 1 or 2.
I still love that my mom did not get that Ray was getting a blowjob from a ghost. Because as an adult, I went back to her and I was like, all right, Ma, we couldn't watch Simpsons till we were like 13, but you let me watch Ghostbusters where Ray gets a blowjob from a ghost. She's like, what? I don't remember. No. And I was like, Ma, his pants go down and goes
Are
over.
you kidding? I watched it when I was a kid because he got a blowjob from a ghost.
No, I remember because
So what
our
these
parents,
people are going to think of your mother.
our parents.
They're gonna think
she's
you're
very
awesome.
old-
Oh,
oh,
God.
weird. No, but we had
If
it
you don't,
taped.
that's
I
fine.
remember the the theatrical preview was taped during Mr. Mom, when like they would have like the little promos. So we'd be watching Mr. Mom, and then the Ghostbusters preview came on, and me, my brother, and my sister are just like rewinding it over and over, and just like, I think that was my first geekgasm, where like, yeah, it's far back. And
I'm recording Mr. Mom tonight.
why don't you just own it already?
Nice.
I know it. I thought I did, but can't find it.
I love Mr.
Can't.
Mom.
And
That's like as an adult being like, hey, I just bought Star Wars.
Right.
Talk to my kid that way again,
So
I'm
I
knocking you out. I won you jigs.
220, 221, whatever it takes.
220.
Give a
221,
baby
something like that.
chili.
Where's Mom? Keep the extra diapers.
The vacuum cleaner Jaws.
Jaws? Why the hell she call it Jaws?
I used to take the vacuum and I'd move it around and be like, look, Mom, it's Jaws.
I love that fucking movie.
Oh my God! Remember that? Remember the iron and the grilled cheese when the kids grilled cheese was.
Dad,
do that in
the
college.
cheese isn't all melted down. All right, Kenny. There you go.
That's the Michael Keaton
Give me a
equivalent
whoopee.
of Roseanne turning the peanut butter.
Wubby.
Kenny, give me a whoopee.
That's the Michael Keaton equivalent of Roseanne turning the peanut butter and jelly sandwich over for DJ because he liked it better with the peanut butter on top. It's just there.
We should watch Mr. Mom.
I watched
Do it
it
for your show.
about a year ago. I hadn't seen it in a while, and it was on like on demand or something. I popped it up and with Fast Times.
Oh yeah.
Last time I saw Fast Times was maybe because I used to have it on DVD, and it was around after that I popped it in and watched it because they had some pretty good extra features on there. They talked to the cast like now. Like,
Oh, I liked the extra features.
Yeah, I remember.
There's so many people in it. They've
Ratner
done so
was
many
in
big
it.
things.
Yeah, definitely. I remember in the extra feature. I remember Ratner was in it. Judge Reinhold. I'm pretty sure Mike Damone was. I don't know about Jennifer Jason Leigh, but I do like how this movie, when it does get pretty serious in about the last half hour or so. I like that it doesn't feel like complete whiplash. Like, the same year that this movie came out is the same year that The Last American Virgin came out, which does hit on similar themes that this movie does. But in Last American Virgin, which isn't a bad movie, but in Last American Virgin, when it gets serious in the last half hour, it's like you're watching a completely different movie. Like, it still hits on, like, teenage pregnancy and abortion and stuff like that. And this is the last half hour of a movie that, at the beginning, they're all measuring dicks in the locker room and it's playing Whip It. Like, it feels like complete whiplash when stuff like this happens in that. But in this one, when there's the situation with Stacy and Mike Damone and Rat and Damone in the locker room and stuff like that, it still feels like you're watching the same
And
movie.
Phoebe
Exactly.
Cates and
Yeah.
Stacy, and then
Yeah.
I liked how they. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I liked how they turned it into it was one of the moments where I really felt they were like brother and sister connected, because anytime you saw Stacy and Judge Reinhold, it was
Yeah.
just kind of one of them was in the pool or passing or like, you never really saw them
Who the hell's
together.
Ron Johnson?
Yeah, and so, that was great. And so with the moment where he catches her
That was
sneaking
great.
away, and it's just kind of you can see, and he's such a good actor. I love him so much.
I love
You
Judge
can,
Reinhold.
You can
He's
see
very
that it's kind
underrated.
of like, oh man, like he felt for his sister, and that's kind of the only scene where you see like a family connection with them.
They did. They had good brother-sister chemistry. Yeah, he was such a good big brother.
Yeah.
When you said Whip It, did you notice, was it Damone's room? Where he had Devo poster?
I think that was Damone's room, wasn't it? Yeah, because it was right above his thing of booze, just sitting there.
Like any other kid's room they showed was either the girls or it was all the nudie pictures, and that's pretty much the only ones
Macaulay's
you see.
room.
Yeah.
You know what I also really like about this movie, and I think it's a huge compliment towards it, because it really shows these characters becoming adults. Like, the scenes where Brad is there, like, I'm a young, successful man.
Yes, I love that.
Scenes
That was
like that.
great.
What
Single successful
really
man.
like it, which I think really complements that, is you never see the parents in this movie.
No, except when Stacy's mom comes to wake up.
Stacy's mom,
That's
like
the
that's
only
it. There's
time.
very briefly you see Stacy's mom.
Yeah.
Other than that, Damone, no.
Yeah.
Ratner, no. Like Spicoli,
Like,
no. You just see his brother.
Even when Mr. Hand, even when
Entree.
even when Mr. Hand comes in, it's like no parents around. But then, to be fair, too, it's like they they're in high school, so they're
But I mean, I
off
like
having
that
fun.
about the
Yeah.
movie because it really shows these characters becoming really adult, like from the beginning of the movie, maturing. Yeah, from where they started out at the beginning, especially Brad's character, especially Damone and Stacy, obviously.
Damone's mom is on the phone with Stacy, right? So you hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Stacy's mom, just that one scene is all the parents.
Yeah, where she's like, "Good night, honey," and then Stacy sneaks out of the house.
Stella, I'm in the garage with my dad.
He says to tell you that he's in the garage with
such
his
a
dad,
piece
and
of
he'll call
shit.
you back later.
God damn it, he's charming. So
I love that
Stacy.
Phoebe Cates, though.
I'm conducting business here.
I love
a little prick.
I love that Phoebe Cates is pissed enough that she's vandalizing his shit, and it's like, you don't
She
fuck
told
with
the
my
whole
friend.
school.
prick.
Told
Yes.
the whole school.
The graffiti of this
Prick
movie
on his
is
locker.
hilarious.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
writes
Oh,
Oh
the
yeah,
yeah.
the Nazi surf at the point.
surf
Up on the
Nazi
sea-
at the
surf
point.
Nazi.
On the bathroom mirror all the way across.
I like
Did it
that.
say, like,
This,
big hairy bush or something?
no, it says big hairy pussy.
Oh, pussy.
I like that someone just went into the bathroom and just wrote that across the mirror.
Well, and then what's even greater is, Judge Reinhold is cleaning it and just doing the slowest
I'm
thing.
a successful
practicing his breakup speech
girlfriend.
because, it's the last year and he's a big successful guy and he thinks he owes it to himself to, see other people. No, don't do that. It's not you. Don't cry. He's like practicing her, what her reaction would be. And then of course he gets fired shortly after and then his girlfriend says
Kick 100% of your
the
ass.
same thing.
basically the same thing to him. And what I love is that he gets it. He gets the irony of what
He
she's
does.
saying to
I
him
love-
on
I
his face.
totally
See it in his
love
face.
that. Versus just like, how could you
Yeah.
that they would do in other movies?
He does. He just
I
smiles and shakes his
totally
head.
agree with you on that because the look on Judge Reinhold's
He's just
face
like,
in that is
really?
no, in his head, like you
Alright.
can picture the word touche going around over and over again in his head.
Well, no, that's what I meant. Like, really? Karma? All right, I see how
all
this is.
right.
I didn't mean disbelief, really. But yeah, it's just kind of like, wow.
He used to work at All American Burger like 7 months ago.
Pirate thing. Well, and I like too because it's this wake up call and kind of awakening for him. And I think when they do the kind of update at the end credits, it was just he stayed a manager of that store, and so it's like he goes from shitty burger joint to like shitty fish joint, and then ends up working at the supermarket.
Now he's at a Mighty Mart.
But he's holding his own. He cracks the guy upside the head with the coffee pot, and yeah. So I do like that.
Eddie Murphy's friend from Beverly Hills Cop.
That's what happens to a lot of us. It's kind of like, oh, this is cool and go that, and then you end up,
I was never really like that. Like, I worked at a movie theater when I was in high school, but I was never like, this is it, man. Right here. I am on top of the world at Parkway
You
Point
probably
8.
knew that was the lowest. That was your lowest possible bar.
I didn't work there. Like, it wasn't,
you
honestly.
don't know other jobs.
Well, honestly, like, I was actually, now that I think about it, I was a senior in high school when I started DJing at the radio station. So actually, I kind of did have a good thing going there for a while, but not when I worked at the movie theater.
You liked working at Hollywood Video though. Like,
Yeah, but I
you
wasn't in high school. I was.
I'm just saying, as like contentment goes.
Oh yeah, I liked
you know,
working at
things
Hollywood
like
Video,
that.
but I was never like, yeah, success, Hollywood
You're like,
Video.
I get all these free movies. Come on, what more could you want?
What's your favorite part of the movie?
The end, when Spicoli and
Mr. Hand.
Oh, to the left.
when he
And
walks,
Judge Reinhold.
yeah, Spicoli, you need a job. Why?
Why?
You need money. No, I don't. All I need is some tasty waves and a cool buzz, and I'm fine. Who hasn't said that over and over? In
And
their
I
life?
like that the look on Judge Reinhold's face in that isn't necessarily like he's looking down
I get
on
it.
it.
No, he's not.
He's
He
like,
gets
all
it.
right, man.
He does. He gets it. Yeah.
That's
Whatever
pretty cool.
floats your bubble.
There was did you ever see this? There was like you mentioned Freaks and Geeks earlier, and that's true. Freaks and Geeks is kind of like
Very
a TV
formulaic.
series version of a little bit. There was a Fast Times TV series.
Was there a cartoon series? Because this was made in the 80s. Wouldn't be
Nah,
surprised.
I don't know, not that I remember, but do you remember seeing that?
No.
I think it was just called Fast Times. And I don't know if it made it past a season or what? I can't even remember really who any of the actors were in it. I might have seen just clips of it.
There's
here
probably
and there.
one side person that like was in it and everybody else was recast.
That happens.
That
yeah.
they did that with the Clueless show. It was like who was it?
Oh,
The ER doc Ty, what's his name? He was
Yeah.
like the only one in like D, I think, and pretty much a lot of people were
The League of
recasted.
Their Own had a TV series
Really?
that short-lived. That
I don't remember that either.
a couple
I
of
saw
the-
League of Their Own several times at the theater.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
We did see that a few times. We had that. I remember used to play the soundtrack quite a bit too. In the TV, I think it maybe lasted like 8 or 9 episodes. I remember it had Marla on it.
Marla Hooch, what a hitter!
Marla Hooch. You know, General Omar
Martha.
Bradley. Striking resemblance. John Lovitz
Lovitz.
popped up in it in the TV series.
He was so awesome in that. He was so horrible. He was just
Hey,
horrible.
cowgirls, see the grass? Don't eat it. Betty Spaghetti, I remember she was the same actress. But John Lovett's the best part of the movie.
You got Tank Girl in there, Slash in the Army now.
Oh, Lori
What's her face?
Petty,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lori Petty. That was the first time I had seen any kind of quirky, oddly voiced, like, person. Because I didn't know, that was the first movie where it was just kind of, she's got that very distinct
Lori
voice.
Petty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I remember, because that was the first time really where it was just kind of like, wow. And I was just like, I don't know, I was kind of enamored. I was like, that's really interesting how she talks.
I like Lori Petty.
Yeah,
she doesn't
she's got her own
anything.
look.
You just hate
yeah,
Tank
she
Girl.
hasn't.
I can't stand Tank Girl, but I do
But Malcolm
love Lori
McDowell's
Petty.
in it.
And in the Army now, too, right?
I love In the Army
She
Now.
was in
I
Yeah.
forgot she was in that.
I just said it earlier,
Oh
In the Army
my-
Now. I have In the Army Now signed by Pauly Shore.
Right
When I
on.
met him, he goes, rub up on me.
Oh, my God.
Of course
He was a
did.
fun guy.
Encino Man.
Yeah, I'll give you Encino Man.
Okay,
I can't.
thanks.
In the
You
Army
also
now,
don't
I
like Happy
can't.
Gilmore.
That one's okay.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Some from Adam Sandler's recent movie, the past 10 years.
No, I'm just saying, whenever I mentioned, like, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, you're like,
I'm not a huge fan, but like I would
you would
watch
act
them.
disgusted when I said I liked them, and you're like, oh. The way he did it.
Ugh.
You all know the way he does that, oh. Yeah, that.
You might have caught me on a bad mood on that because those movies aren't terrible. I just don't like them all that much. If I'm going to watch an Adam Sandler comedy, it would be one of those. Maybe. I don't know. There's probably one I've liked better, but
And some are just guilty pleasures, You know they're awful, but you just like them. And if
Yeah.
you're surfing and nothing else is on, you'll stop.
well, I guess I'm watching The Wizard today.
No, because I have that on DVD, so I can pop that in my DVD player anytime I want. So you can go and surf at your place and try
I
to
own
find
The
the Wizard.
Wizard.
And I'll be like, hey, did you find a channel? No, you don't.
I have The Wizard. I have it on tape.
Oh, on tape?
Yeah.
Do you have a VCR?
Yes, of course I have a VCR.
No, you don't. It didn't work.
I have a VCR.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
went and
bought
bought
it
another one.
I think we need to wrap this up.
Well, VCR's broke. Guess I'll never own one of those again.
Salvation Army got shelves full of them.
What's your final words on
Gnarly.
Fast Times? Oh, gnarly!
It was fun times. It was fun times at Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
What'd you think seeing it in the theater again?
Oh,
Memories.
yeah. I can make the case that it makes me feel kind of old, but yet not. I mean, it just seems like it was yesterday. It's so much fun. I never get tired of it. It's timeless.
It is. I
It
love
really
it.
is.
Some of the there are some of those movies, and this will be my final thought on it. Yeah, there are some of those movies that I liked a lot when I was younger, and still like, but for
In a way that it's bad, but
yeah,
love it.
okay, The Wizard,
This-
sure. If I saw The Wizard for the first time and I was 32,
Like Sarah that didn't like
I
it.
don't know if I would have appreciated it, but I don't know if I
You've had that
would
love
have.
for it.
Yeah, and this is not the case. This is a genuinely great movie. This is a
Like
movie
Stripes and Revenge of the
yeah,
Nerds,
yeah.
things
Risky
like that.
Business, Risky
Yeah.
Business, movies like that, and movies like all the ones we mentioned earlier
Breakfast
are
Club.
movies.
yeah.
Breakfast Club, exactly. 16 Candles.
Say anything. I had a T-shirt.
Say anything.
There you go.
And I'm.
I just like Superman in the video. I'm like, wait, somebody mentioned me.
They're movies that I enjoy for the same reasons now that I did back then. They're movies that I love for the same reasons now.
And you still do.
Yeah, and you still do. Some of them even more now that you're an adult.
It would definitely be like because I like to theme my movies when I marathon, so that would definitely this movie would be something I would pair with Revenge of the Nerds or just like any
Yeah, 16 Candles. Yeah, would be.
Well, no, see, I am very like 16 Candles is a little less on the wild side. Like Dazed and Confused, I would go from there. I have a very and then. I'm also allowed
16
to take.
Candles gets pretty wild.
It is, but not, it's not exactly the same feel. It's more of a toned down, Pretty in Pink type feel, and then there's like the party and everything. But it's not as the same category as this movie.
Well, 16 Candles would be a good double feature with Weird Science.
Where's my automobile?
Definitely.
I always double feature that with Breakfast, or triple feature with Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink.
Right on. Pretty in Pink's a good double feature with Some Kind of Wonderful.
16 Candles I just recorded. It was on the other day, and Pretty in Pink was on.
Nice.
Yeah, there must be a run of 80s movies. Or
Spader movie.
it's too cold for people to go out, so...
Except for
Abel's
us.
putting, except for us right now.
It's all fucking frozen back here. We're fast times. All right,
They're gonna find us, and we'll just be like,
Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining.
it's gonna be a found footage movie.
Yeah.
Be like, these were their last moments.
You want to come back and do this with us again sometime?
Yeah, sure. You guys will have me back, and if you don't get too many complaints,
There won't
Having your
be.
mom. Okay.
There won't be.
All right, of course I will. Of course I will.
She'll see it later, Clark. Her eyes are frozen.
All right. Well, I would say I'll be back tomorrow, but I'm posting this and what I'm shooting tomorrow night at the same time.
Dude,
so
schools are closed tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
school's
like
out. Sweet.
No, it's negative double digits tomorrow.
Kids are all home tomorrow.
So that's
Yeah,
perfect.
negative 25 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wind chill.
Aren't you
Don't.
glad you just came back from
Honestly-
Long Beach, California?
Hey, honestly,
Thank God it's
call
not
because
forever.
they're probably gonna close here because they
I
closed
will.
down the
I'll make
businesses
sure. Yeah.
when it was. Like
Oh
that.
no, I can't go see the nut job.
Oh no, I don't want you taking my car and then being at a closed place and then getting caught on the ice. And that
Jillian,
would be sad.
nut job.